Hey guys. Alright, so here's what I'm doing here. I'm making a 1/6 scale JLA Trophy Room Superman prop. Pretty simple what I'm doing. Basically, I went to a hardware store and I bought a bracket. As you can see here, just a simple bracket. I painted it black. Now I've just painted some paper clips black as well, and I've both glued and taped those on here. Now I know you're probably thinking that looks like shit. Hi Joey. But I'm actually going to spray these again to get it an all black finish. So you really shouldn't be able to see that. Now for the belt that goes on top, this is the like reissue Mego belt. I just cut it right off my Mego. Now on the back side of it, to give it its shape and hold it, is a ring from a gallon of water or milk, whatever you want to use, that'll keep its form. And then it gives us a nice lip on it as well, so that when I glue it to the top of the bracket, like say here, I'm going to widen it out a little bit, that'll look good, and it'll actually be on this side of it. It'll be basically like this, centered of course, and looking good. And then the cape is going to hang on those paper clips there. And then basically it's going to need a stand. So what I've done is I've taken a Hot Toys Christopher Reeve stand. I do have two, because the one that came with my Hot Toy, when I was putting this part in, it slipped, and as you can see, it put a big long scratch in it, which I was quite upset about. So I bought another one off eBay, which I don't even know where the heck that is. I can't even find it right now. It's somewhere. But also this one, it's split right here, so you can see that I taped that. Now I'll also be taking paint and painting that as well with my airbrush. Now as you can see, it's not actually inside the stand. I've got it taped to the outside because when I put it inside, it didn't want to stay at the height I needed it to stay at, which was very inconvenient. So I ended up just putting it on the outside and taping it. It was the best option I could come up with. Now, I'm sure, Barry, you've probably got more access to more crap than I do here, so you're probably going to be able to come up with a better solution if you end up doing this. Now, as you can see here, I also bent these down, and I'll be doing a much better job of that before it's finished, so that it's going to be hidden, and because otherwise it's stuck out too far from the bracket. Now, see, once I put the bracket on here, as you can see, the cape will hang right there off of the painted paper clips, and it'll cover this part, so you're not going to be able to see the tape or anything else. You'll just see the cape hanging there. Now I've done a little mock-up of it, and it does look pretty good. The only thing I'm thinking about is how exactly I'm going to attach the cape, and I've got a couple of ideas on that, but I will show you those once I come up with them. I've also taken a couple of other little pieces that I got at the hardware store, and they need to be resprayed, but I painted those with the airbrush because in the back of the Superman cape display, it is got like a little design back there where like it holds the cape. So I may end up adding those in just to have kind of a little background design. So that's where I am right now. Like I said, it's a very easy project. I was talking to Stuart about it, and it's a really easy project, and I think it'll be very cool when it's finished. It'll be a nice little 1/6 scale replica of that JLA Trophy Room. So if you guys want to make one, that's cool. That's why I wanted to share this with you. If not, well, then you wasted like 4 minutes. But I'll let you know how I attach the cape and everything, and I'll show you the final product. All right, guys. Hey, everybody. I got the prop finished, as most of you who are Facebook friends with me know. Excuse me. Excuse me. This was an incredibly simple build, and in my opinion, it looks awesome. It looks good from 3 of the 4 angles you can get it in. The 4th angle, of course, from the back. It doesn't look good, but we'll see that in just a second. This was an extremely cheap build, I guess, depending on how you look at it. I own the Sideshow Collectibles 1/6 scale Superman that just came out at the beginning of this year, and he comes with 2 capes. He comes with a cape with a wire in it for posability, and then he comes with like a softer, silkier cape that just drapes. Now I'm using the cape with the wire in it, and I don't really foresee myself using the other cape, which is the one you see in front of you. So basically, I had just folded that up and put it with his extra accessories, his other two heads and the rest of his hands. And I just kind of shoved those. I keep all my Hot Toys and Sideshow collectibles hands in little sandwich baggies, each one labeled of which character it goes to, because eventually you get just like this huge pile of hands and you're like, what goes to what? So I finally got that all sorted out. But I just kept seeing the bag, and I just kept seeing this big, red blotch in there, knowing that it was this extra cape, and that it was just sitting there not doing me any good. And then I had the idea of like, well, I could create a replica of the JLA Trophy Room from Superman and Cape from DC Direct. Now, that actual collectible goes for around $900 to $1,000 on eBay. And of course, unless somebody fucking, excuse my language, unless there's some kind of estate sale that I run into and they don't really know what they have, I'm never going to own that. Now, that is a full-scale replica. That's a full cape built for an adult. It's got the full belt. I mean, the belt wouldn't go around my fat ass, but a full belt on it. This, of course, is 1/6 scale, same as the figure, the 1/6 scale Superman. So a lot smaller, taking up a lot less room, and a hell of a lot cheaper. So, like I said, I have that figure. I had the extra cape. I had an extra Hot Toys Superman stand because if you saw earlier in the video, I had scratched my original. And then all I really needed was a bracket and a belt. Now, I have the retro reissue Superman Mego, and he's kind of jacked up. I got him for just a couple bucks at Comic-Con a few years back. And he doesn't want to stand straight, doesn't want to do anything. I kind of generally have him shoved in the back. So I was like, well, I can pull the belt off him and just go and buy myself a bracket and then figure out how to attach the cape. So I went to my local hardware store called Menards. I don't know if you have one nearby, but it's a good store. And I found a bracket, and I think it was like $1.20 something or $1 or something. So I got that, and I know I have paper clips around here somewhere, but I didn't feel like looking for them, so I bought like a 80-some cent box of paper clips. So basically, this cost me $2 in stuff that I had to go out and buy to finish the project. Of course, if you do a total of what I spent, between the Mego and the statue and the figure and everything, that's a lot more. But if you got this stuff on hand, basically, most of you are probably going to have paper clips. You're just going to need to buy a bracket, which is really, really cheap, obviously. So I went out and got it. And the way I did it is I took my airbrush and I painted everything black. The bracket, of course, was just a standard steel color. And I painted the paper clips black as well. And then my stand had a little split in it, so I taped that and then sprayed that black. And then basically I took the belt off the Mego. Now, the belt in the Mego does have two red lines on it, basically where the belt loops were supposed to be, but that actually part of the belt. So I took the belt, and what I did with that is I just took out my blazing yellow from my airbrush, and I painted that all yellow. And then once that dried, I took out my gold, and I painted the belt buckle. So that was all great. Once I had all the painting done, it took literally 3 to 4 minutes to finish out the project. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my little spinner thing. We'll take a look at it spinning, and then a close-up, and then we'll be done. If I can get this thing to turn on from this far back. Come on. All right. So there you can see it looks good, decent from the sides and the front, but when you get to the back, you can see where, all the hidden work is. So as you can see, it's just a standard L bracket. I do have ties on there. What I did was on the stand, I bent down the crotch grabber portion, and then I used the ties to kind of pull that back a little bit more, because that thing was actually really hard to bend. It's really awkward, and I stabbed myself in the hand like 3 times, drew blood once. So what I did is I took one of the ties from the Doomsday Unleashed, and I kind of tied those back. But I wanted to keep them there, and I wanted to keep them kind of poked out a little bit, because that way that pushed out the S. So it looked like it kind of, brought it out in more of a 3D, I guess, kind of look. It really, highlighted the S on there with those pushing it out. So I wanted to leave them, but just not to the extent that they were. But you definitely do have to bend those down, otherwise they come out about 1/2 inch in front of the bracket, and they come out like way up here. They'll be poking out, so they do need to be bent down. So I tied those back with, like I said, a tie from Doomsday Unleashed. As you can see on the back of the belt, that is just the plastic ring. When you open like a gallon of water or a gallon of milk, when the cap comes off, there's still that plastic ring that it was attached to that breaks. So I pulled that off my gallon of water, and I just basically... Sorry about that, my phone ran out of memory and stopped recording. Basically, I glued that to the back of the belt so the belt kept its shape. After that, it was just gluing the belt to the top, and then I took... Let me go ahead and stop this. I took the cape and I just threaded it through the paper clip right here, and then it didn't want to stay, and I didn't want to do anything permanent, so I just took a piece of Scotch tape, put it on the back, and attached that flap of the cape coming through the paper clip to the main part of the cape, and that's holding it in place perfectly. So I really, really love how this turned out. It does look like the actual prop. The only thing, I didn't do any of the fancy stuff in here, those other pieces I bought and showed earlier in the video, because, excuse me, you really couldn't see it anyway. So there was no point in doing that. But I love the fact that it went with the Hot Toy stand, because we've got the little Superman name plaque down here, which is very cool. And then this right here is actually, I just printed out a picture of the actual collectible and then shrunk it down. Now you can't really read that because it's very, very blurry, even in person, but from afar it looks just like the plaque that's on there. So that was the reason I did it. I wanted to make it as true to the actual prop as possible. The only other thing that's missing is the gold portion of the belt should actually have a Superman symbol in there, but I would screw that up trying to make it that small, so I didn't bother doing it. I just did it with the gold. And of course, the actual one doesn't have a stand like that. It's just a shelf that you would put on the wall, and the cape just hangs. Of course, I really don't have a way to do that, so I put the stand down there, but I really, really love the way it looks with the stand. It looks really great. The only thing I wish was just a little bit higher so that the cape fully hung, but I'm happy with the way it is. I really, really like how this came out. Now, anybody who wants to do this, you can look at the first part of the video for the parts that I used. I just replicated prop replicas. So, this isn't, I didn't come up with this idea. This is something that was done by DC Direct that I just replicated on a smaller scale. So anybody that wants to do this, do it, because it's cool. It looks great in the display case. It's very simple to do, providing you've got an extra cape and a stand to use. Doesn't have to be this stand, but a stand to use. And Amigo with the belt, or you can even just make a little yellow belt. It wouldn't be that hard. Basically, for $2 to $3, you could build this yourself, as long as you had those extra spare parts laying around. And I highly recommend you do, because, like I said, it's cool looking. I love the way it looks in the display case, and I'll go ahead and show that to you here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and we'll look at it in the display case, and that'll be done. And this video was a little longer than I intended it to be, because it's very simple, but it's really cool, and I recommend, if you want to have this cool display and you don't have $1,000 to spend for the full-size one, build this. Alright guys, I'll be right back. Alright guys, there it is in the display case. Now this is its tentative position, because it is blocking some figures there, but I want it up high, that way you can't see, look down on it and see the like the paper clips glued and taped to the top and whatnot. But for right now, it's going to stick here. I am going to be hopefully picking up some DTOF cabinets here in a couple of days. I don't know where the heck I'm going to put them in my room, but I will make room for them, and then there's going to be some rearranging and maybe a collection video update. So that's it, guys. I want to thank you for watching this long, drawn-out video about a very simple project. Of course, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to the channel.